I think it's really interesting the choices that they made. The audience was filled with freshmen who were watching this, and it feels like the ideas were all over the place, and you can do that. And the audience really thought it was interesting. I, on the other hand, I felt like it was missing something. It didn't feel natural. That wasn't my world. I mean, I didn't experience the world like that. It didn't feel realistic for me. Also, why would a deaf person need a phone? I mean, I don't know. So I struggled to start my project with that. Following the rules, putting in all of the film language together, it just never felt natural for me. And I want to make sure that my world is put on the screen properly, and that wasn't my world. I feel like film language puts you in a box sometimes. Sometimes you need to take a step back, put the film language and the studies aside, and focus on yourself and the way you do things. You have all of these rules, and they can develop, but it's just not the same. It's not the same as going with your own pace or figuring out your own style. And remember, deaf people can't hear those sounds, so anything involving sound is not going to be helpful in that world. I want to focus on my perspective and applying it to my films. You guys know what a script is, right? So you write on it, and then you can edit with it. You can explain all the characters, who's saying what, the dialogue, etc. Now you can gloss or write in sign language for a script, but it's a struggle. It doesn't translate properly. There's a gentleman from Gallaudet University who's a good storyteller. He was really good at using American Sign Language and translating it to film. Now it's important, sign language is visual and film is visual, but they're not the same. I want to make that very clear. So you can throw out a script. You can use an ASL script. So here's one particular project where I use an ASL script. So it's not just me. I want to make that very clear. We have a whole team of people. We have the directors, we have the writers, we have the camera operators, we have the lighting crew, and we all look at this video and we don't need a script. Here's another example. That was really good. I feel like that's a simple way to use ASL as a bigger expression. When you see that, you fully understand the ideas trying to be expressed. Camera flow and editing. So you have a shot of someone talking, and then you can pan to another person going back and forth and editing. So it's a bit smoother. So if you have two people signing, it's a little different. I mean, how do you express two people signing and still keeping a clear focal point? We want to make sure that it looks natural. For instance, two deaf people walking together and signing can cause a lot of issues. There needs to be a connection. There needs to be camera flow. It needs to be smooth. So I can look at that and feel, I can look at the screen and feel like, yeah, that's the world that I live in. Something that helps us is this little backpack that's connected to a camera. It's called a Steadicam. So using Steadicams, we can make a simple flowing project, and here's an example. You've seen captions, right? Normally they're on the bottom. And I want to break that stereotype with captions. It's really hard to focus on what's going on in the scene visually while also looking at the captions. With this example, the captions were right next to the actors, and it created a good flow. And I feel like that's my world. That's the perfect representation of how I experience things. Now let's discuss a voiceover. Remember, I'm focusing on the visuals because I can't hear. So how do we use a voiceover? Now remember when I discussed further about the script with the camera flow and the script being in ASL? We can just turn voiceover visually. Telling a story with your hands. See that storytelling right there? I think all three of those combined can create something very powerful. Deaf lens. Looking at the world through deaf eyes. Seeing the world as a deaf person would see it. It's smooth, it flows, it's a new idea. And I think it's incredibly important. There are no limits. So thank you.